Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about my December 2020 wrap up. In November, I had a very big slumpy month with like legit everything, and I just wasn't on Instagram, I wasn't on YouTube, I was just, I didn't want to do anything. I wasn't interested in anything book wise, writing wise. It was pretty crappy. So in November, I only ended up reading and finishing one book, and I started one that I am still in the middle of. But yeah, it was just pretty sucky. But December, I thought was going to be about the same. It ended up really, really well. It ended up a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So I'm pretty happy with how December went. So in December, I read 5 books. Didn't expect to read that much, which is pretty good for me considering December is a busy month for family and friends, and there's a lot going on. I'm working full time. It was going to be hectic. December is always hectic, but I was happy that I ended up reading 5 books. So let's just get into what these 5 books were. So out of these 5, 4 of them are actual physical copies, which again, I was pretty happy about because it's nice to actually read from my physical TBR rather than gravitating towards ebooks or audiobooks, which is generally what you do when you work full time and you really don't have the energy to pick up a physical book. You just want to read the audio. But anyway, 4 books are physical, 1 was an audiobook. So let's just get into it. So the first book that I read, the one that I started the month of December off with, was Wildflower by Drew Barrymore. This one, oh, by the way, if you can see, there's a little bit of crack thingy rip in the spine. That was my cat. I was reading this without the dust jacket on, and somehow my cat still got to it. Joy. But yes, I read Wildflower by Drew Barrymore. This is essentially like kind of like an autobiography, kind of like a journal type thing. So she talks about her life and growing up and like her movies and her kids and her jobs. She's just an amazing person. I absolutely love her. I love her movies. Ever After is one of my all-time favorite movies. I love it so, so much. Can never get enough of it. Can recite it word by word. But yes, Drew Barrymore is one of my favorite actresses. I absolutely adore her, and this was just the perfect read because it allowed you to have an insight of her life and what it was like for her growing up. And she had a bit of a tough upbringing. She became emancipated when she was like 14 or something like that. Yeah. So, yeah, she became emancipated adult at the age of 14. And she's done really, really well. I admire everything that she's done, that she's been through. Like, she's a very strong person, and she's a mother now, and she's just inspirational to me. And this was just perfect for somebody who absolutely adores her, because it was nice to see little bits and pieces of her life. It's not in chronological order, which was probably the only reason I didn't give it 5 stars. But it's fine. Like, it jumps from different stories. It doesn't have to be chronological, I guess. But sometimes I like it when it's chronological. It's easier to follow. But I really didn't mind it. I gave it 4 stars. I loved it because I love Drew Barrymore, and if you also love Drew Barrymore, I definitely recommend this because it's just nice to have a little insight in her life and what it was like for her growing up and how she became the beautiful woman that she is. The next one that I read, you'll have probably seen on my worst books of 2020 because it sucked. And that was Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. I hated this. I nearly DNF'd this. I very well should have, but I didn't. I kept going. This is advertised as like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and I think I talked about this in my worst books, but I'm actually really tired of seeing Beauty and the Beast retellings. I love Beauty and the Beast. Favorite Disney movie, favorite Disney princess. I love it so much. As you can see by my profile picture, Belle is my jam. I love her, but anytime you try and recreate it, it's just never quite the same. Not even A Court of Thorns and Roses. Like, nothing that I have read has ever come close to what Beauty and the Beast truly is. So, yes, this was a very disappointing read. I ended up giving it 2 stars, and like I said, I really should have DNF'd it. It is meant to be like a mix of the Beauty and the Beast retelling and Greek mythology, which, like I said in my video, it sounds quite interesting, but it is not. It was just shit, and I don't understand why I kept reading it. The romance was stupid. The characters were annoying and whiny. I just didn't like it. So it was my least favourite of December and one of my least favourite of 2020. As you know, I'm not going to go into any more about it because I'll probably rant about how crappy it was. But yes, didn't like this one, unfortunately. The next one that I read was an audiobook, and I really wanted to read or listen to some more like Christmassy type books, but I ended up reading Dash and Lily's Book of Dares, which is part of the Dash and Lily series. So this is the first one, and I picked this one up to listen to because I'd watched the Netflix show. I don't know if they're doing any more seasons of it, but they have the first season out, and it's literally just like Christmas and New Year's, and it's like the perfect thing to listen to and to watch when it's Christmas time. So it was perfect. The book, however, was it was all right. I didn't like it as much as I liked the Netflix show, strangely enough. So this one we follow two characters, Dash and Lily, who kind of have like a Cinderella type exchange, which again is why I loved it, because I love Cinderella as well. And I love like all those type of Cinderella stories where they're talking and they're falling in love and actually haven't met one another. So this is kind of what that is like. So they meet one another through the form of a journal that Dash finds in a bookshop, and it's basically telling him to do all these different things and trying to get one another out of their comfort zones. So she's telling him to do all these different things, and then he begins telling her to do all these different things, and it's just really, really cool. I love their relationship and how they realize that they're both very different people, but they also have very similar interests and very similar things that they do. And like Lily is absolutely the biggest fan of Christmas, while Dash absolutely hates it. So this particular year for Christmas, Dash is on his own. His dad is on vacation somewhere, and so is his mother. And then Lily's parents are off in Fiji, and she has to stay and have Christmas kind of by herself. Like her Christmas is not going to be the same because not everybody's home. So they're essentially alone for Christmas, and this is their way of connecting and trying to enjoy the holidays and just trying to experience a friendship with someone that they haven't actually met but can talk to. Like they're the only ones that they can sort of feel like they can talk to about things. Really, really good concept. I just feel like the book fell kind of flat. So I really liked the adaptation a lot more. It was done a bit better than the book was, I think, in my opinion. But I gave this one 3 stars anyway. Oh, and I forgot to say it was by Dash and Lily by Rachel Cohen and David Leviathan. The next one that I read has been on my shelf for ages, and I thought it was probably about time that I got to it, and that was Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling. I've had this book for a while and I needed to read it. Like it was just bugging me because I hadn't read it and I just wanted to know what it was. And I actually enjoy reading screenplays and things that are sort of set out like a screenplay. I don't know, it's not because it's quick, but I like the dialogue. Like, I feel if I'm reading something and there's a lot of description, I just zone out. So it's nice to just have pure dialogue, which is what the screenplay is. So this one, if you don't know, it follows Harry's children. It follows like the next generation, and they are having a lot of trouble at Hogwarts. So Harry's son doesn't get into Gryffindor. He ends up in Slytherin, and that just like puts him in like a downward thing where he's just like, I'm not good enough to be classified as Harry's son. Like he's trying to find who he is without his dad's notoriety. And then him and Draco's son Scorpius, they want to try and like help out and make themselves look like, you know, they're able to help people like Harry, Ron and Hermione did when they were their age. So they end up trying to assist in like saving Cedric in the past, because apparently there's a time turner that has been found, and it can be used to travel longer in the past. And that's their plan. They want to grab that time turner, they want to go back in time to change the past and save Cedric from being killed by Voldemort. And they think by doing that Harry will be proud of them, Draco will be proud of them, Hogwarts will admire them, and they'll be like Harry, Ron and Hermione, but like better. So yes, that's essentially what this is kind of about. I really liked the first half. I really loved the time travel concept. I really liked that idea. But then the second half was just sort of meh. It wasn't as strong as the first half was. I did enjoy it. It was entertaining, and it was kind of cool to see the next generation at Hogwarts. So I didn't mind it. But yeah, I'd really like to see this live. I did enjoy reading the screenplay. It was actually quite entertaining. So it wasn't too bad. I think I gave it 3 stars. I will have a look. Yes, I gave it 3 stars. So it definitely wasn't amazing, but it was entertaining, good concept, and yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about it. And the last one that I read that I finished December and the year 2020 off with was my very first thriller, and that was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This, I guess, is kind of like a psychological thriller, and it was so good. I really enjoyed it for being my first thriller type story, which I don't normally gravitate towards thriller or crime. It's not really my genre. I love watching true crime stuff, but reading about it, I don't know, it just doesn't have that same feel, at least from what I'd heard. Like, I hadn't actually picked up any to be able to say that I don't like it or I do like it. But it was actually really good to read a thriller type book. So this one follows 2 characters. We have Alicia and Theo. Alicia had been caught having shot her husband like 4 or 5 times in the head or something like that while he was tied to a chair. So she ends up being put in a mental hospital because once she's shot him and like the police come and get her and like arrest her, she becomes mute. She doesn't talk, she doesn't do anything. She's just catatonic in a way. And for 7 years she's in the mental hospital, and like, but she still doesn't talk. She hasn't said anything about what she did or why she did it. And then Theo comes along and he's a psychotherapist. His main aim is to try and get her to talk to him and try and work out what happened. It was surprisingly really good, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the twist at the end. It was a fantastic twist. It was really, really good. I honestly enjoyed it. It was very quick and easy to get through. I highly recommend it if you are interested in reading something like this or something like a psychological thriller. There we go, guys. Those are the books that I read in the month of December. I was pretty happy with what I read despite not having any books that month that were 5 stars. Maybe January will be a little bit better, but it was okay. I had a good reading month, a nice little mix of books, so I'm not complaining. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you read in December and how many books you ended up reading, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!